I am going to share a sneak peek of the training that I went through yesterday. Yes, if you hadn't heard, we're right in the middle of a 3-day workshop called Invisible to Invaluable. It's a content design workshop. It's talking about new ways to approach your online content as a small or sole practitioner architect, landscape architect. That's running through tomorrow, and there may be some bonus sessions next week. If you'd like to sign up, profitecturebydesign.com/workshop to get signed up for that. But today, what we're going to go through is just a snippet of yesterday's session and the 3 shifts in online content creation that you should consider in 2020. Giving architects and landscape architects the tools and strategies to be seen, heard, and valued in the marketplace, and telling the stories of leaders building thriving design firms and attracting their ideal clients. This is From Architecture to Profitecture. I'm your host, Jay Krakowski. Let's get started. Let's talk about the 3 big shifts in online content creation that you should be considering for your firm or for your personal brand here in 2020. Number 1, the idea that the sale actually begins long before you write a proposal. What does that mean? It actually means that any piece of content that you're putting out there is actually part of your sales process. And that's something interesting to consider, because anything that you generate, whether it's a video, whether that's an Instagram caption, whether that's the photo on Instagram itself, or a written blog post, or an essay on medium.com, you are indoctrinating potential clients you're inviting them into your brain. You're indoctrinating them into how you see the world, how you view the design and construction industry, and how you might actually be able to solve their problems. You're indoctrinating them into your brand. So you're actually beginning that sales process long before you have that initial phone call, before you have that first sit-down meeting, when we're allowed to have sit-down meetings again, and certainly before you put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and write up that proposal and that contract full of legalese. If that's the first time that you're showing your process and showing your expertise, it's going to be tough to get clients to sign on with you. Because there'll be that break between you, the professional, and they as the client with a problem. Well, if you haven't made that connection, if you haven't made that emotional, personal connection beforehand, it makes it a much tougher deal, especially when you're in a group of 3 or 5 potential competitors for the same project. I think we all know what folks tend to go to first for a comparison, and that is price. Let's talk about this sales process long before the proposal gets started. And what I have here on the screen is it's a little more general marketing speak, kind of the journey from a potential client first being aware of their problem and the fact that they may need to find an architect or landscape architect to solve it, all the way down to purchase, which is signing on the dotted line. So the awareness phase, they are aware that they have a problem. They can't stand another minute in their space. The house isn't working for the growing family, or kids have left the house and they're looking to make some changes, or it's a business owner whose business is growing and they're bursting at the seams. They're sitting on top of each other, trying to get work done through the day. So then they move into the interest phase, and they are most likely Googling, if not getting referrals from friends and colleagues. And your name comes into the mix. Your brand, your firm comes into the mix. And you might be part of a small pool, maybe part of a large pool of potentials. But they have found some sort of interest in you. They are starting to vet you. And especially here in 2020, they are vetting you predominantly online. And they're going through all the social channels, not just your website, certainly not just your Google listing. They're starting to vet you. And then as we move into consideration, that you're part of their top 2, 3, 7, whatever it may be, but they're really drilling down, and they may even reach out to you at this point to set up that initial consultation, that initial meeting. Now, the intent phase, we are starting to get down to brass tacks, as I say. We're talking about your design process. We're talking about schedule. We're starting to talk about fees and construction budget. And there's an intent to potentially hire you. Whereas evaluation, when you move into the evaluation phase, as you see here, that's when the proposal is out there. That's when the PDF is out there. That's when the paper's on the table and everything's out there in writing. And if that is their first introduction, again, into your design process, into how you work and how the working relationship might go, you've missed 4 other potential phases, 4 other potential places to help them understand who you are and how you do what you do. Not just what you do, but how you do it, and more importantly, why you do it. And then that's moving, of course, finally to the purchase phase where you start the working relationship and actually start doing the work. So what does this look like? Well, as you can see on the right, if you're waiting again to show your portfolio and show your design process and start to communicate your personality somewhere in those last 2 phases, so hopefully not just the proposal phase, hopefully you're not just sending out blind proposals. But if you're waiting until then, you're missing the boat. If you just have a basic Google listing, and I have Google at the top because that's how a lot of people find me, to be honest with you. Now I'm in the residential space, so that might be different for you if you're working on larger commercial, institutional, industrial projects, perhaps. But if your Google listing is simply a phone number and hours of operation, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. When someone searches you, the Google listing that should come up should immediately be tagged to your Facebook business page, should be tied to your YouTube page if you've chosen to go that route, or Instagram, or certainly LinkedIn. LinkedIn should be within the top 3 for architect in a particular local market, or even if someone searches your name, it should definitely be in the top 3 for Google listing and for LinkedIn. So the ability to make a connection with someone, with a potential client, is so huge on these platforms. And yes, the feed scrolls crazy fast on Facebook and Instagram and even LinkedIn. I understand that. When someone's doing research on you, they're going to want to look at your Instagram grid. They are. Now, does it need to be perfectly curated? No, it really doesn't. But you need to have a presence, at least somewhere, on one of the platforms. You don't need to be on every platform, but you need to be on at least one of the platforms, again, putting your personality out there. If you have a staff, starting to highlight them, starting to understand how you work as a team, perhaps, and relaying to them how the working relationship may go. And that only becomes more critical as they start to compare. As you move into the consideration phase, if they're going between just 2 firms, the one with the larger body of work online, not just your proposal, but even down to Instagram stories, you're going to have the leg up. You really are. So the sale actually begins way back in the awareness phase, even before they have found you and vetted you. You need to have a presence out there online. So question to you, are you using your online content simply as a portfolio, simply as advertising? That Google listing, or they go to your website and it's just pictures of your work, and then you list your services, and then you have a phone number. Is that all you're doing? Or are you trying to educate your potential clients on why you do what you do, what your purpose is for being a design professional in the first place, and how you do it, how your design process may be able to solve their particular problems? And are you leading with emotion and empathy? That's a whole other level on top of just education, but it's something that can be really critical. The second shift in content creation that you can make is adopting the mindset that selling is actually serving. It's actually an act of service. It's not simply a transaction of dollars into you and drawings and PDFs out to the client. It's helping them to achieve a transformation. Now that's a transformation in the physical space that they live in, or that they work in, or that a community moves through, say in the instance of a public park, something like that. But your services they're an act of service. They're an act of transformation. It's not just buying and selling widgets. And Colin Boyd is one of my online mentors. He says it very well. Selling is deeply understanding your audience, aka our potential clients, and speaking to them in a way that resonates and gives them access to the next level. Now, yes, the next level is to sign a design contract with you, but it's also that transformation. It's solving their problems so that they come home to a kitchen every night that doesn't drive them absolutely bonkers, or a house where the kids are stacked up on top of each other. The next level for a business owner, it's having the space where they actually have pride, if not just be comfortable bringing clients over. They're not nervous about bringing clients over. What are they going to think? But you've given them the ability to transform their lives, to transform their businesses into something that they dream of. And the way that we talk about our services and how and why we are design professionals, that is selling at its core. Because if we're not making revenue, then we just have a super expensive hobby. Between this computer and this camera and light setup, it's an awfully expensive hobby if we're not bringing in revenue. So the idea that selling is something icky or sleazy, that's all a mindset. That's all a belief. That's a belief system, as I like to call it. BS. It's BS. It's something that you can push out of your mind and replace it with the notion that selling is actually an act of service. So if you replace the word selling and it truly became serving in your mind, how would that impact your brand? And what impact would your brand then have in the world? And yes, I do mean either your personal brand or your design firm. What impact would you have if every single piece of content that you put out there, that you took the time and effort and maybe dollars to put out there, was in and of itself an act of service? And the third one, which is the biggest one, is when you either start your journey in creating online content, or you're looking to up level it, you're looking to start a podcast, you're looking to go on video or live stream, just like we are now, you've got all these fears that come up: fear of judgment, fear of failure, heck, fear of success. Maybe if you have a lot of eyeballs and you're resonating with folks, maybe that triggers something for you. But what you can choose to lead with is your purpose. Your purpose for why you chose to become an architect or a landscape architect. The purpose for why you chose to go out on your own as a designer. For me, it was financial freedom, but it was a lot of time freedom. I had my first son on the way, and there was no way I was going to be living out of a suitcase as I was as a traveling construction manager. I knew that I could serve families. It's in my local community here, Greenville, South Carolina. I know that I could serve families with the design that I love to do, but also be able to show my now two sons what's possible. That you can make a living with online video, with design and marketing those design services online, and you can still have time to be a good father, a good family member, or involved in your community, or involved in your church, or involved in athletics, or doing photography on the side, or starting to build this brand of Profitecture by Design and help folks like you put themselves out online as I'm doing here. Leading with your purpose in the online content that you put out there, it only feeds into the notion that it's an act of service. But when you lead with your why, not just your how, but with your why, it quiets those fears. Because what is judgment if you know that you're living into your purpose? If you know that, whether that's ecological sustainability, ecological restoration, or that's saving and rehabbing historic structures or old structures, or that's bringing a new design aesthetic into your community, into your market, a new product, say pre-sale plans or prefab homes, whatever it is, whatever that purpose is, lead with that, not only in your work, in what you do day to day, but also then in your design content. That's going to resonate with your potential ideal clients. I went to a conference, yes, a real in-person conference last year. I believe it was last October in Las Vegas. It was a Grow with Video Live. So it was focused solely on online video. Heather Torres giving a fantastic talk about fear, about meeting fear, challenging fear, overcoming your fears. And in all the welcome packets at each of these chairs, we got a quarter sheet of red construction paper. It's a piece of paper that was chopped into 4 and spread out to everyone. There's 400 people in the room. Well, she started going through this list of all these fears: fear of judgment, imposter syndrome, aka, who am I to be doing this? And I beat this example to death, but Eric Reinhold, 30 by 40 design workshops, one of, an inspiration for me to jump out on YouTube. I think he's up to 800,000 subscribers now. So you could easily say, I have 0 or I have 10 subscribers. Why should I bother? Because he's so far ahead of me, or he's got, his film quality and film chops are pretty awesome. So why bother? So why me? And again, maybe it's there's fear of failure, fear of that it won't be perfect. Perfectionism creeps in as it does for so many of us design professionals, and the edit's just not going to be right, or the B-roll is just not right, so I won't put it out there. Or the flip side of that is fear of success. What if people like it and I get all this attention and I'm not used to it? I'm heavily introverted. Well, those are all fears that come up. So she goes through this long list and explains it much better than I have been doing. And then at the end, she says, if you felt any one of these, hold up your card. And I swear 397 out of the 400 people in the room held up their cards. And it was crazy powerful because the entire room was filled with video creators. This is what all of us do, and all in different niches. Guy to my left was an eye doctor. Guy to my right did health and wellness and nutrition products. Between the two of them, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of subscribers on YouTube between the two of them. I think at the time I maybe had 80 or 100 subscribers. So, I definitely felt like the little fish in the big pond, but they had their cards up because we're all just human beings at the end of the day. And the choice to put yourself out there, yes, on camera, but also to put your values and your beliefs and your personality out in an Instagram post, even Instagram caption or Facebook post or a LinkedIn article that you write, it can be scary. Those fears in the back of your mind, they'll creep up. What are folks going to say? What if I get a thumbs down? What if I get nasty comments? I've had a few on YouTube. It's the nature of the game, unfortunately. And it's our choice to go forward and say, well, I'm doing this. My design firm's YouTube channel. It's educating and helping homeowners and understand how to work with folks like you and me, because most don't. Most homeowners, when they call me or they call you, if you're in the residential space, they've never worked with a design professional before. They have no idea what they're getting into except what they see on HGTV. But so it's our job to educate them, and that's my purpose behind that channel. Whereas my purpose here in the Profitecture by Design brand is to help you. It's to help you market yourself better and put your value forth, so that you're not getting beat up on price, certainly, but the level of respect and the health of the working relationship is made stronger. So leading with your purpose and quashing those fears as best you can, at least quieting them for the time being. But this was a super powerful exercise for me, only because there were so many, not just competent, but accomplished video creators in the room, and we all have the same fears. But when you lead with your purpose, those can be quieted. So if you made your purpose bigger than your fear, what would be possible for you? What would be possible for your brand, for your design firm, heck, for your life in general? And can you commit to these 3 shifts that we talked about today? I want to see some commits in the comments and a hashtag replay if that's you. I hope you enjoyed that. That was just one piece of the workshop training that I did yesterday. The Invisible to Invaluable workshop. You can still join. It's not too late. Once you get yourself into the Facebook pop-up group, you'll have access to those live trainings for life. I'm going to keep the group open. I'll archive it, so there won't be any discussion back and forth. But once you're in, you're in. You can watch the videos as much as you like. Somebody asked, is this available on repeat? Yes, of course. Wherever you're watching this, either at Jake Krakowski or within the From Architecture to Profitecture Facebook group or over on LinkedIn, this is all recorded for posterity. So feel free to dive back into that and go through that little snippet of training. But again, that was just one piece of yesterday's training. It's 2 other sessions today, and there'll be another 2 tomorrow, and again, potentially some bonus sessions next week. So go ahead over there and sign up if you'd like. If you have any questions on that or anything else, or anyone or anything else you'd like to see on the show, send me a direct message, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Make this week a great week, because our success is inevitable. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you stay up to date with future episodes. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn at Jake Krakowski. And for show notes and much more, visit profitecturebydesign.com/podcast. My friends, if you were tuning in to join me with Bobby Kroll of Bobby K Designs, we've had a massive tech failure. Not only was StreamYard being finicky, but his computer completely died, exploded, hopefully not exploded, 6 minutes into the show. So we're going to reschedule with him on my @Jake Krakowski page on Facebook. You can witness that if you so choose.